At Clyde Ironworks, every bite starts from scratch. Fried ravioli, onion rings, wood-fired pizza, in-house beers, steak stone sizzling, pasta, pretzels, cannoli, all made by hand. Clyde Ironworks, where food is made from scratch.
I always have to have it on hand, or in my pocket, or in my car where I knew where it was. Because if I didn't know where it was, I'd panic. But that was in the beginning. And in my head, like as time went on, if I lose it or if I can't find it or I misplaced it, I'll just be like, it pops up whenever it pops up. But in the back of my mind, it's more of like, oh my God, I need it. Like, I need to find it. But in hindsight, it's just more of like, if it comes back. If it doesn't, then it was meant to be, and it's a sign that I should stop. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people who don't learn until I go through it. Just know that every year it gets harder to quit. And every year you start to feel the effect.
With me today, we're gonna have a good time. You've convinced me. I'm ready to switch my account. Oh my gosh. Specific answer. They're learning quick. Can we Google it? Whatever. Okay. He's a quick study.
There's so many words I want to say. Be careful. It is a love story.
You bet it is.
Fair.
I wasn't done.
Ask the questions that you think are silly. Thank you for joining. Bye.
We only have had e-cigarettes since 2012 or 2011, so it's only been a decade, a little over a decade, and we're getting different chemicals that we don't know enough about, which will probably cause us a lot of issues in the future.
There's nothing better than a Subway Series footlong, except when you add a new footlong sidekick, like the boss with a new footlong cookie. This might be my favorite sidekick ever. What?
Every epic footlong deserves a perfect sidekick.
Vaping has almost become like an obsession, addiction.
I always have to have it on hand.
It's got to be where I know where it is.
If I didn't know where it was, I'd panic.
I stopped pretty quick because I didn't really get the enjoyment I thought I would get out of it.
I've had friends who have used it, and it's a struggle for them.
Find your passion. Find your people. Find your purpose. Find your superior.
At Clyde Ironworks, every bite starts from scratch. Fried ravioli, golden and crisp, onion rings battered fresh and fried to perfection, wood-fired pizza made from dough we craft each morning, beer brewed in-house, steak stone sizzling, pasta tossed fresh to order, warm pretzels, fresh filled cannoli, nothing frozen, nothing fake, just passion, patience, and heat. Clyde Ironworks, where food is made from scratch.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to UWS Women's Volleyball here on 91.3 FM and on Yellow Jacket TV. This is Matt Johnson coming to you live from Mertz Mortarelli Gymnasium here on the campus of the University of Wisconsin-Superior, where it's a very abbreviated pregame show sponsored by National Bank of Commerce, that it is UMAC Tournament Semifinal Wednesday for the Yellow Jacket women as they take on Bethany Lutheran here. And as I mentioned, the semifinal round of this year's UMAC Conference Tournament. The Yellow Jackets coming into this semifinal against Bethany Lutheran, having come off a regular season in which they went 20-11 overall, 9-3 in the UMAC to get the number 2 seed in this UMAC tournament. They closed out their regular season at the Yellow Jackets by splitting a pair of matches on Saturday, first defeating Crown College in straight sets by a final score of 3-0 before falling to Mayak, regular season champion St. Olaf College, by the same 3-0 score. Both those matches were played right here at the Mertz in Superior. Against the Polars, UWS clinched the number 2 seed in the UMAC tournament by downing Crown by set scores of 25-12, 25-14, and 25-17. For the match, the Yellow Jackets hit 310 while limiting the Polars to just 110 hitting. And individually, the Yellow Jackets were led by McKenna Holbein with 11 kills on 17 swings to hit 529 for the match. Colleen Claude and Gabby Schwartz, meanwhile, combined to dish out 26 assists. Defensively, the Yellow Jackets got 9 digs from Claude and 8 more from Lizzie Schmidt in that win over the Polars. And then against the Olies to close out the regular season, the Yellow Jackets were out hit 205 to 145 and falling to St. Olaf by set scores of 24-26, 21-25, and 22-25. Individually, the Yellow Jackets were led by Sydney Bader with 13 kills on 25 swings, which resulted in a hitting percentage of 360 for the middle hitter for the Yellow Jackets. Holbein added 11 kills while Claude and Schwartz combined for 29 assists. Savannah Herring led the way defensively with 16 digs, and Holbein was named UMAC Volleyball Offensive Athlete of the Week for the final week of the regular season. So congratulations to the sophomore outside hitter from Holdingford, Minnesota for UWS. Meanwhile, Bethany Lutheran comes into the semifinal at 16-11 overall, 8-4 in the UMAC. They're the number 3 seed in this UMAC tournament. Laura Evans is their head coach. They closed out their regular season with a 3-0 victory over North Central on Saturday at the North Gym in Mankato, Minnesota. In that match, the Vikings hit 250 and held the Rams to negative 077 hitting while winning in straight sets by scores of 25-12, 25-15, and 25-12. Individually, Bethany Lutheran was led by Sydney Carlson with 8 kills on 18 swings. They hit 538 for the match. Abby Distad, meanwhile, dished out 21 assists, while Kylie Schmidt led the effort defensively with 9 digs for the Vikings. So that's where the two teams are at here, heading into this UMAC tournament semifinal from the Mertz in Superior. And with that being the case, we'll take a quick break before we come back with the opening serve of this contest between the Yellow Jackets and the Vikings. That'll be coming up in just a couple minutes, so stick around for that. This is UWS Women's Volleyball on 91.3 FM KUWS Superior and on Yellow Jacket TV, an affiliate of the UMAC Sports Network. here at the Mertz. As the national anthem has been played, and our public address announcer, Rand Castaneda, is introducing the two teams here for this one between the Yellow Jackets and the Vikings. UWS coming in this win, as I mentioned, 20-11 overall. They are 9-3 in the UMAC, the number 2 seed for this UMAC tournament, while Bethany Lutheran sitting at 16-11 overall, 8-4 in the UMAC, and they were the number 3 seed. The other semifinal, by the way, tonight also being played down at the Erickson Center down in St. Paul, Minnesota. It is the Northwestern Eagles taking on the University of Minnesota Morris Cougars. That's the number 1 versus number 4 seed, and the two winners here tonight will be matching up on Saturday, and a site to be determined. If the Northwestern Eagles win their contest tonight against Morris, they will be the they will host regardless of who wins this match here tonight. If the Yellow Jackets win and Morris wins, the Jackets will be here hosting the Cougars on that day. Same for Bethany Lutheran. If they win and the Cougars win, they would be hosting the Cougars on Saturday down in Mankato, Minnesota. In the meantime, a couple of series notes between these two as the Yellow Jackets being introduced here again. Before we get this one underway, UWS is 22-2 all-time against the Vikings, dating back to their first matchup back on September 26th of 2009. Currently, the Yellow Jackets are on a 17-match winning streak in the series that stretches back to the 2017 season. UWS took both matchups this season between the two sides, falling behind 2-0 in their first matchup on October 3rd here at the Mertz. But the Yellow Jackets came back to reverse sweep the Vikings and win it by the score of 3-2. Set scores that contest were 16-25, 14-25, 25-18, 25-14, and 15-10. Then on their second matchup, the Yellow Jackets hang 3-17 as a team and won in straight sets down in Mankato, Minnesota, at the North Gym by scores of 27-25, 25-17, and 25-20. With those two wins, the Yellow Jackets now have not lost to the Vikings since dropping a 3-0 decision way back on October 22nd of 2016. So that's the last time that the Yellow Jackets have fallen to Bethany Lutheran. UWS again with that 22-2 edge in the all-time series. Quick reminder also before we get this one underway, our next broadcast of Yellow Jacket Sports here coming up on 91.3 FM are this weekend. Men's hockey on Friday taking on St. Scholastica in their home opener for the 2025-26 campaign. 7 p.m. the opening face-off, 6:30 the pregame with John Garver on the call. Joint broadcast that will be on 91.3 FM KUWS and on Yellow Jacket TV. And then our next broadcast will be coming up Saturday after that Friday night hockey tilt. The men's hockey team back at home again the following day, taking on Bethel, another non-conference and Maya conference opponent. 7 p.m. the opening face-off there, 6:30 the pregame. Again, a joint broadcast here on 91.3 FM KUWS and on Yellow Jacket TV. In the meantime, the two teams have been introduced, and we're moments away from getting this one underway between the Yellow Jackets and the Vikings. UWS wearing black jerseys tonight, while the Vikings wearing their reds. And these two teams meeting for the third time here in the 2025 campaign. I had the privilege of doing the first match between these two. Yellow Jackets look pretty dead in the water, in my estimation, at those first two sets. The first time these two teams played, but completely turned it around in sets 3, 4, and 5 to pick up that win. And then, of course, the impressive sweep by the Jackets last time out. Men's and women's soccer, by the way, off to the NCAA tournament this weekend as well. You can go to uwsyellowjackets.com to find out more about that. Yellow Jacket men be taking on St. Olaf for the second time this season. In the third year in a row, the Jackets and the Olies will meet in the NCAA tournament. A little bit of a rivalry forming there between the two programs, while the women will be down in Chicago taking on the University of Chicago in their opening NCAA tournament match this weekend. Again, more information on those matches at uwsyellowjackets.com. Men's basketball heading down to Platteville for a pair of games against Carroll and Co. this weekend. Women's basketball, by the way, across the bridge tonight, taking on St. Scholastica in their bridge battle for 2025-26. I think that's the only time they're meeting this year. I might be wrong about that, but so a lot going on right now here. Of course, as we're coming to the very tail end of the fall season. Men's and women's soccer winning their respective UMAC conference tournament titles last weekend, and we are ready to get this one underway. Opening serve tonight, sponsored by Barker's Island Inn. Going back to serve it for Bethany Lutheran, it's Abby Disted, the 5'6" sophomore from Casson, Minnesota. And here is the opening serve, and we are officially underway. Thank you for joining us for this UMAC Conference Tournament semifinal. As here's the first swing of the match taken by Sydney Bader, tipped at the net by the Vikings, and now pushed over by Alexis Trigg. Now the Jackets, but the ball handling error will go wide to the outside and out for a point, and the Vikings score first. They lead it by the score of 1-0, as Distad will continue here from the service line for Bethany Lutheran. There's the serve now coming back row. McKenna Holbein on the reception. Colleen Claude popping up. And here's a big swing and a kill now for Sydney Smith, going right down the middle with it. On the swing and getting it to go down. Actually caught the corner. The swing came from the middle. And she flipped the corner and the Jackets side out, and it is one apiece. As checking in for the first time, Elena Wilberg, the 5'7" freshman from Anoka, Minnesota for the Yellow Jackets, and she'll serve first here. Now here's a set to the outside from Distad. Dugout back row by the Yellow Jackets. Now to the near side, here's a swing from Holbein, and that'll be a kill. It went high off the hands of Riley Salmon to get the termination, and the Yellow Jackets have their first lead here of set number 1. And they lead it by the score of 2-1 as Wilberg will go back to the line to serve it here for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve now coming back row, and that's going to be an ace. Tucked it, I should say, right into the back line. Adley Schmid watched it go, and the Yellow Jackets now have 3 straight, and they lead it by a score of 3-1. Very good crowd on hand, still filing in here to the Mertz on this Wednesday night. As a serve from Wilberg, received now by the Vikings. Here's a swing from Lily Merkins, and she'll find the back line. And that kill will make it now 3-2. As Bethany Lutheran's Merkins will go back and serve it here. Lily Merkins, 5'10" sophomore from Zumbrota, Minnesota. And here's her serve. Wilberg receives, now played over by Caitlin Jones. Will be dug up by Schmid. Distad now through the middle. Here's the swing and a block. Salmon on the swing and a solo block there for Sydney Smith. And the Yellow Jackets out to a 4-2 lead. Maddie Hunter going to check in for UWS. And it'll be Savannah Herring for the Yellow Jackets, the Superior native that'll go back and serve it for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve back row. Merkins bumped up by Distad to the outside. Here's a swing now taken on the outside by Abby Maloney. Maloney now will tip it over. Yellow Jackets getting the dig and then pushing it deep and getting the kill. Is the setter Colleen Claude just pushed it where they weren't, off in the corner far side, and the Yellow Jackets out to a 5-2 lead. In this one, Savannah Herring continuing for UWS. Here's her serve. Merkins on the reception. Schmid will bump it up. Now here's a swing coming near side. That one was taken by Trigg. Tipped at the net by Holbein, and now another swing also tipped by Holbein. They'll go the opposite side this time. Maloney's swing. Tipped at the net, dug out by Wilberg. Back set from Claude. Now here's Caitlin Jones' swing. That one dug out by Merkins. Now through the middle, pushed over by Salmon, and we play on. Bumped up by Savannah Herring now, and here's a swing from the outside from Caitlin Jones, and she'll get the kill for the Yellow Jackets. 6 of the first 8 to UWS. And the Jackets up by 4 as Herring continues in this rotation for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. Merkins. Distad to the outside. Maloney on the swing. Dug out by Claude. Bumped up now. And played over by Holbein for a free ball. Distad through the middle. Here's the swing by Salmon, and she'll get stuffed here by Maddie Hunter. And the Jackets playing some excellent defense to start this match. They're up now 7-2. Solo block from Sydney Smith a couple points ago. Solo block from Maddie Hunter, and the Jackets up 7-2. Savannah Herring off the serve. Back row now. Distad, one-handed set. They have to play it over for a Yellow Jacket free ball due to the Vikings. Bumped up now by Herring. Here's Holbein on the approach. Kept alive there by Merkins. Now on the far side, Jones will roll it over. Merkins back row on the dig. Distad now. Near side, here's the swing, and that'll be a kill for Alexis Trigg. 6'1" senior from nearby Virginia, Minnesota, makes it 7-3 on the side out. Kylie Schmid will go back and serve it now for the Vikings. And Maddie Meyer checks in for the first time for Bethany Lutheran as well. Here's the left-handed serve from Schmid. Herring bumping it up. Holbein now plays it over. Schmid on the dig. Distad, short set through Meyer. Her swing dug out by Claude. Now Jones on the approach. And it'll end up in a kill here for Caitlin Jones. Distad couldn't keep it alive. Jackets leading at 8-3. Gabby Schwartz and Marina Sager are going to check in for UWS. Claude and Jones check out. UWS up by 5. Yeah, Schwartz serves it. Schmid, Distad to the outside. Maloney, her swing tipped at the net by Hunter. Now Distad will try Maloney again. And that one will go wide and out of play, and it's going to be a attack error on Maloney. 9-3 now the Jacket lead up to 6. So good start here in set number 1 for the Yellow Jackets. Here's a serve from Schwartz. See back row by Merkins. Maloney going cross court. Dug out by Savannah Herring. Now here's the approach by Holbein, and she'll get a strong swing and a kill. And UWS humming early here, leading it by the score of 10-3. And a quick timeout going to be called now by the Vikings. 10-3 your score. Check out some of these early stats. The Yellow Jackets looking very good in this one. In the meantime, folks, if you can't get enough of the Yellow Jackets, tune into Eye of the Swarm, the official podcast of Yellow Jacket Athletics. Join John Garber and myself. Throughout the years, we sit down with the Yellow Jacket student athletes, coaches, and other guests. Eye of the Swarm is available on uwsyellowjackets.com/podcast, Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. Jackets looking really good, especially at the net here so far. A couple of solo blocks, as I mentioned. UWS looking very physical here at the start, leading it, like I said, by the score of 10-3. And looking pretty comfortable as well, both on offense and defense to start this one, which certainly would be a welcome sight for UWS. In the meantime, the Jackets will break the huddle with a 7-point lead here. As the Vikings now will break their huddle. Schwartz will continue from the service line here for UWS. Gabby Schwartz. Here's her serve, back row. Schmid on the reception. Distad now. Maloney's swing goes cross court, dug out by Herring. Schwartz, near side. Holbein on the approach. Tipped at the net. Herring keeps it alive, bumped over by Schwartz for a free ball. Merkins, now Distad to the near side. Here's the swing taken by Trigg. Dug out by the Yellow Jackets, now punched over by the Yellow Jackets' McKenna Holbein, but they're going to call her for a lift. And so it'll be a side out here to make it now 10-4. Checking in now for Bethany Lutheran is Mel Rosh, 5'11", sophomore from Zumbrota, Minnesota. Will go back to the line to serve it. And here is her serve. Wilberg on the reception. Hunter keeps it alive. Now pushed over by Holbein. Distad to the outside. Maloney on the approach. And that one will go wide of the antenna and out for an error. Side out to the Jackets makes it now 11-4. And Holbein will go back and serve it herself here. Wilberg checks out. Sydney Bader in for the first time here for the Yellow Jackets. Here's the serve now from Holbein. Received back row. On the slide now, Meyer on the swing, and she'll get the kill. Maddie Meyer, when the leading hitters in the UMAC, gets the kill there to make it 11-5. And Maloney will now go back and serve it herself here. And her serve goes back row. Herring on the reception. Now to the outside. Here's a swing from Sager. Dug out by Schmid. Now bumped to the outside. Tipped over now by Merkins. Free ball for the Jackets. Schwartz now pushed over by Sager. To the outside now. Here's Merkins. Dug out by McKenna Holbein. Now free ball. Distad to the outside. The swing from Merkins, and she'll miss the back line. And there'll be a point here for the Yellow Jackets. And UWS now up 12-5 as Maddie Hunter, the sophomore middle hitter, will go back and serve it here for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. Received back row now by Rosh. To the near side, here's Meyer on the swing, and she'll get the kill. Went high off the hands that time of UWS's Sydney Bader to get the kill. And the Jackets now up by the score of 12-6 off that side out. Meyer will go back and serve it herself. And the senior from Shakopee, Minnesota on the approach, and here's her serve. Bader on the reception. And now it'll end up being an ace. So Meyer has made a difference since coming in. Cuts the Yellow Jacket lead to 12-7. Meyer at the line. Here's her serve. And that one will go out for an error to make it 13-7. Colleen Claude will come in. Sager will check out. Caitlin Jones also returns. She'll replace Gabby Schwartz. Jackets, by the way, trying to make it back to another UMAC title game. This would either be 3 or 4 in a row for UWS. They'd have to go back and look. As here's the serve from Claude. Received back row. Now to the outside. Merkins coming. She'll punch it deep. Dug out by Holbein. Now to the far side. Here's the swing now from Caitlin Jones. Tipped at the net. Distad now. And tipping it over and getting the kill is going to be Riley Salmon. Soft touch from Salmon. The assist to Distad makes it 13-8. And Distad will go back to the line now to serve it here for the Vikings. Here's her serve. Bader, back set. Tipped over now by UWS's Jones, still alive. And played over by Trigg for a Yellow Jacket free ball. Now Claude through the middle. Here's the swing from Sydney Smith, and she'll get the kill. Sydney Smith showing some life in this one in the early going. UWS up by half a dozen at 14-8 as Wilberg returns. Bader will check out. And now Wilberg at the line. Here's her serve. Schmid, Distad. Now Merkins on the swing. Diving dig there by Claude. And Claude will now play it over. Distad to the outside. Merkins on the approach. Got tipped at the net. And they're going to say actually it never made its way over the net. It'll be 4 touches for Lily Merkins and Bethany Lutheran to make it 15-8. Elena Wilberg back at the line here for UWS. Here's her serve. Schmid. Dump to the outside now. Played over by Trigg for a Yellow Jacket free ball. Near side, here's the swing now by UWS's Holbein. Tipped at the net by Maloney. Now dumped over by Merkins. Dug out by UWS. Herring. Now Jones on the approach. She gets tipped at the net as well. And now the Yellow Jackets, complete miscommunication there. Nobody went for the ball. Just floated down and hit the court for a point. Mistake. UWS makes it 15-9. And now back at the line to serve it is Merkins. Here's her serve back row. Now received by Wilberg. Claude popping it up. Now here's the swing from Smith, and she'll get the kill. Sydney Smith for the Yellow Jackets with, like I said, a strong start here. It's 16-9 now. The Yellow Jackets in the lead. Back at the line. Here's the serve now from Herring. Swing on the far side, dug out by Claude. Now here's the swing going cross court from McKenna Holbein, and she'll get the kill, and the Jackets now up 17-9 here. UWS got out to an early lead, scored 7 of the first 9 points. They have not looked back here so far in set number 1. Now Herring on the serve. Merkins, Distad, near side going with the swing, and getting the kill is going to be Salmon. Riley Salmon makes it 17-10. Meyer's going to come back in now for the Vikings. Kylie Schmid will go back to the line and serve here for Bethany Lutheran. Here's her left-handed serve. Wilberg on the reception. Claude. Holbein on the approach. Kept alive on a nice digging in the back row by Merkins. Now tipped over by Maloney. There's Claude. Bumped up now by Herring. On the approach. Here's the swing from Holbein. Tipped at the net. Now to the opposite side. Here's the swing from Jones, and she'll get the kill. Caitlin Jones gets the kill, the assist to McKenna Holbein. Unlikely tandem there on that one. And the Jackets back up 18-10 off the side out. Schwartz and Sager come back. Claude is out, as is Caitlin Jones, and Schwartz for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. And it's going to be an ace back row. Gabby Schwartz's floating serve. Knuckles in the back corner, and the Jackets now up 19-10. UWS hitting 267 so far here in set number 1, while the Vikings hitting triple zeros. Now Distad. Near side swing by Trigg. Dug out by UWS. Now Holbein tried to float it over, but she got underneath it and hit it on the underside of the net. Side out, makes it 19-11 now in favor of UWS. Rosh will come back in. Jackets up by 8 here, later stages, set number 1 here from the Mertz. Rosh's serve. Wilberg back row now, Schwartz. Near side, Sager will punch it over, dug out by Merkins. Distad to the outside, Maloney on the swing, dug out back row by Wilberg. Now Jockey at the net, punched over by the Jackets. Now Distad tries to dump it. Dug out by Herring. Schwartz on the back set. Now here's Sager on the swing, and she'll get the kill. It's been a good set here so far for the Yellow Jackets. Sager's kill makes it 20-11. Bader comes back in. Wilberg checks out, and now McKenna Holbein to the line here for the Jackets to serve it. Here's her serve, back row Schmid. And now the Vikings all turned around as Schmid received it. Nobody even went over to try to get the set. And it ends up being a ball handling error, and the Vikings pretty flat here so far. Jackets up 21-11. Here's the serve from Holbein. Salmon, and then she shanked that one to the far side, and the Vikings can't play it over, I don't think. Yeah, it's going to be 4 touches. It was Rosh, actually, then Salmon. Couldn't get the ball over the top. Another ace here for Holbein. The Jackets now 3 points away from taking set number 1 here from the Mertz. Holbein serve. Rosh back row. Schmid dumps it up. Now played over by Maloney for a Jacket free ball. Herring. Schwartz to the middle. Here's the swing from Hunter. Dug out by Merkins back row. Now Maloney. Cross court. That one dug up by Savannah Herring. Now here's a big swing near side from Sydney Bader. Dug out by the Vikings. Now Maloney. And she'll get a kill. And that keeps Bethany Lutheran in the set at 22-12. And Maloney, sophomore from Adelia, Minnesota, goes back to serve it here. Here's her serve. And Bader couldn't get her hands sorted out. Ends up being an ace. Tried to drift back and get first contact. 2 straight to the Vikings. Makes it now 22-13. Here's the serve. Herring. Back set now from Schwartz. Tipped over by Sager. Schmid bumping it far side. Going cross court. Trying to go cross court was Merkins. Off balance into the bottom half of the net for an error. Makes it 23-13. Smith comes back in. Hunter will go back and serve. Herring checks out. Jackets looking for a 1-set lead here in this one. Serve from Hunter. Back row, Rosh. Distad on the back set. Now here's the swing from Meyer, and it's still alive. Vikings got to play it over for a Yellow Jacket free ball. Holbein. Schwartz. Bader on the approach. Tipped at the net by Meyer. Now Distad. Swing from Merkins. Dug out again by Holbein. Now the pass is a little off the mark. Played over by Bader. Now Meyer. And she'll miss the back line. And it's set point for the Jackets at 24-13. Vikings so far hitting negative in this set. As Hunter tries to serve the Jackets into a 1-set lead. Here's the serve. Meyer. Distad. Merkins. Tipped at the net. Dug out by the Yellow Jackets. Schwartz. Smith on the swing. Smith keeps it alive. Merkins plays in the middle. Now bumped over by Distad for a Jacket free ball. Holbein, and now dumped over by Gabby Schwartz, and that'll end the first set. A well played first set for the Jackets for sure. As the dump from Gabby Schwartz and the kill gives UWS the first set. Your score 25-13. And UWS leads this UMAC tournament semifinal match here at the Mertz 1-0. We'll take a quick break and then come back with our start of our second set. That'll be coming up right after this. This is UWS Women's Volleyball on 91.3 FM, KUWS Superior on the Yellow Jacket TV, an affiliate of the UMAC Sports Network. Back here at the Mertz, this set break sponsored by Hovind Incorporated. The Yellow Jackets in that first set hitting .250 while holding the Vikings to negative .045 hitting. Couldn't really ask for a much better start for UWS in this semifinal, and they lead it by taking that first set 25-13. Very impressive, like I said, by the Yellow Jackets, especially at the net. I thought the net play was really, really good in that set. 3 kills for Caitlin Jones, 3 kills for Sydney Smith. They're saying .750. McKenna Holbein with 3 kills as well in that first set. Jackets with 12 kills, while the Vikings, like I said, hitting negative. They had 7 kills, but 9 errors for Bethany Lutheran in that opening set. So see how they respond here after taking about a 2 or 3 minute break here to try to sort themselves out. The Yellow Jackets, meanwhile, will serve first here in set number 2. And it'll be Colleen Claude, the senior from Centuria, Wisconsin. She'll be joining the women's basketball team once the volleyball season is over. And here's her first serve here to begin set number 2. To the outside, the swing taken by Maddie Meyer. Dugout back row by McKenna Holbein. Now Jones on the swing. This one over the top. Sydney Smith on the overpass, and she'll go up and kill it for the Yellow Jackets. And Sydney Smith has 4 kills already. And the Jackets out to a 1-0 lead here in the early going of set number 2. Here's the serve now from Claude. Received back row by Avery Carlson for Bethany Lutheran, and then completely missing on the approach and hitting it not even into the net, but into the floor was Maddie Meyer. Bethany Lutheran just kind of out of sorts. 2-0, Yellow Jackets in the lead. As Claude continues, here's the serve now, Schmid. Distad to the outside, Merkins on the approach, and she gets stuffed by Smith on a solo block. Sydney Smith having a whale of a match here so far. Jackets up 3-0 now. As Claude continues from the service line here for UWS. Here's her serve. Back row, received there by Mil Roche. Now Merkins on the approach, and she'll get a kill. 3-1 now, Jackets in the lead as Abby Maloney will return. Maddie Meyer will go back and serve. Meyer for Bethany Lutheran. Serves it. Back row, received by Sydney Bader. Claude back set. Here's the swing now from Caitlin Jones, and I think that's going to end up, well, actually, nice job by the Vikings keeping it alive. I thought it was going to end up being a kill. Played over for Yellow Jacket free ball. Now Claude, here's Bader on the swing, and this time she makes no mistake. Sydney Bader with the termination makes it 4-1. Elena Wilberg's going to come back in. Bader's going to check out. Wilberg for the Yellow Jackets. Serves this one up now. Back row received by Roche. Distad near side. Here's the swing from Merkins. Tipped at the net again by Smith. Now played over for Yellow Jacket free ball. Claude near side. Misjudging it and having to tip it over was Jones, and then a joust at the net off an overpass and put down with the left hand by Sydney Smith for another kill. Jackets up now 5-1. And Wilberg now goes back to the line. Here's her serve. Kept alive by the Vikings. Now played over for a Yellow Jacket free ball. In fact, scratch that. They hit it too long. Went over the back line for an error. And the Jackets out now 6-1 here in set number 2. And we just have not seen a lot of life from Bethany Lutheran thus far in the match. I'm somewhat surprised by that, considering the season that they've had. Here's the serve from Wilberg. Distad through the middle. Now Maloney is off, and that one into the net. And the Vikings having all kinds of issues. Jackets now up 7-1. Here's the serve from Wilberg. Carlson receives. Now Distad to the outside. Merkins on the swing. Dug up by Wilberg back row. Now Claude popping it up. Here's the swing now by Holbein. Tipped by Maloney. Distad will give it another try with Merkins. Her swing ends up in a kill, and the Vikings side out to make it now 7-2. There hasn't been much going right here so far for Bethany Lutheran in this match. They're now hitting a negative .078, hitting into that point. Distad will go back to the line to serve. Here's her serve. Wilberg, Claude popping it up. Punched over now by Smith. Dug out by Schmid. Now Distad, tight set, and it ends up being an overset, and the Yellow Jackets, Holbein, or maybe Smith, one of the two of them, goes up and puts it down for another kill. All kinds of receiving errors, passing errors, setting errors here from the Vikings. It's been kind of a mix of all of that, and it's now 8-2. Jackets are already here in set number 2 as Herring serves. And that's going to be an ace. Knuckleball that Avery Carlson couldn't keep in play. 9-2 now your score. Herring now at the line. Here's her serve. This one better from Carlson. Now Distad. Here's the swing now taken by Trigg, and that'll be a kill. Alexis Trigg makes it 9-3. Side out. Merkins will go back to the line now to serve. Carlson checks out for the Vikings. Coming in for the first time is Sydney Carlson. Here's the serve from Merkins. Wilberg. Claude. Holbein on the swing, and she gets blocked at the net by Maloney. I think it was Maloney. It might have been Trigg as well. 9-4 your score. Merkins at the line. Here's her serve. Wilberg. Bumped up now by Holbein. Played over by Jones for a Bethany Lutheran free ball. Maloney. Back set now. Swing going cross court now by Trigg. Dug out by Claude. Distad again. Here's the swing by Trigg. This time she gets tipped at the net. Maddie Hunter getting her hand to it. Now here's the swing by Sydney Carlson. Tipped by the Yellow Jackets. Now they have a shot at it. Claude. Swing by Jones, and she'll get the kill. Caitlin Jones off the assist from Colleen Claude makes it 10-4. Schwartz and Sager going to come back in. Jones and Claude check out. Gabby Schwartz at the line. Here's her serve. Schmid. Distad. Near side. Here's the swing by Sydney Carlson. Tipped at the net again. Schmid. Now Sydney Carlson. Dug out by Savannah Herring. Now through the middle. Here's the swing from Hunter. She gets tipped. Schwartz goes to the outside now. Rolling it over is Holbein. Kept alive. Bumped over now by Trigg for a Yellow Jacket free ball. Herring. Schwartz. Near side. Here's Sager. And she was a little bit late in getting there. Ended up hitting it out for an error to make it now 10-5 as Maddie Meyer will come back in. Kylie Schmidt goes back to the line to serve it here for Bethany Lutheran. And here's her serve. Wilberg. Her resulting reception in the pass went over the top of Schwartz. Couldn't keep it in play. Point to the Vikings. 10-6 now your score. Here's Schmid's serve. And it's out. Wilberg wasn't quite sure whether she wanted to touch it. In fact, she did. Could have let it go. Instead, she ended up having a glance off of her forearm. And now the Vikings within 10-7. Here's Schmidt again. Same clean reception from Holbein. Now sent over by Sager. Distad through the middle. Here's a swing from Meyer, and she'll get the kill. And now the Vikings beginning to show a little bit of life here. And come within now 10-8. And the Yellow Jackets will call their first timeout of the match. Have you downloaded Swarm Central, the official rewards and loyalty app of the Yellow Jackets? Get started and receive 200 points just for registering and 200 more for downloading the app. Redeem your points for cool prizes in the Swarm Central store. Find Swarm Central in the Apple and Google stores today. So Bethany Lutheran cleaning it up a bit. Still hitting negative. They hit negative 0.45 in the first set. They're hitting 0.59, negative 0.59 here in the second set. 10 kills, 13 errors so far for the Vikings and 61 swings. The Yellow Jackets, meanwhile, on the other side, hitting an even 200. They have 16 kills, 5 errors. Hit 250 in set number 1. 0.67 their hitting percentage here in set number 2. Sydney Smith still having a whale of a match here for the Yellow Jackets so far through almost a set and a half. 5 kills and 7 swings, hitting 714. McKenna Holbein really hasn't gotten going as of yet. Just 3 kills for the sophomore. And the reigning UMAC Offensive Athlete of the Week. Has a couple errors in there as well. Caitlin Jones with 4 kills so far for the Yellow Jackets. But Bethany Lutheran so far, all their big hitters are hitting negative. Maloney at negative 200. Meanwhile, Lily Merkins at negative 125. Trigg is hitting 200. And Maddie Meyer hitting at 125. As we come out of the timeout now. Schmidt on the serve. Holbein on the reception. Schwartz back set. Sager on the swing. Dug out by Merkins. Kept alive by Distad. It should be a Yellow Jacket free ball. As Trigg bumps it over. Now Schwartz to the outside. Here's the swing by Holbein, and she'll get stuffed by Maloney. Actually, it was Trigg, hitting the block, and it's now 10-9. So the Vikings, after that shaky start here, back within one here, set number 2. Here's the serve. Holbein, Schwartz, back set. Sager on the swing. Kept alive, now tipped over, and they're going to call a lift on Trigg. Double contact, in fact, on Lexus Trigg. Side out makes it now 11-9 in favor of the Jackets. Holbein at the line to serve it. Here's her serve. Trigg, Distad, Meyer on the swing. Got tipped at the net. Now Merkins, Distad, back set. Trigg, off balance, kept alive by the Jackets. And now put down on an overpass here by Sydney Carlson on the side out, makes it 11-10. Mel Rosh is going to come back in now for Bethany Lutheran. She'll take out Lexus Trigg. And Rosh on the serve. Herring, Schwartz, tipped over by Hunter. Distad. Addie Meyer on the slide. Now on the outside, here's the swing taken by Bader, and it is going to be a kill for Sydney Bader to the far side. Wasn't sure at first. Schwartz a little off balance. Bader on the approach. She gets the kill, and it's now 12-10 Jackets. Now here's Hunter on the serve. Schmid shanks the pass. Tipped over by Distad. Sager now will send it over for a free ball for the Vikings. Distad outside. Here's Sydney Carlson going up, and she gets stuffed by guess who? Sydney Smith again. Smith doing a little bit of everything for the Jackets here tonight. Gets the block on Carlson to make it 13-10 Jackets. And now Hunter again will serve it for UWS. Here's her serve toward the back line. Distad, Meyer on the swing, and that one will go out off of Bader. Good job of using the block attempt there by Meyer to get the side out. 13-11, now the Jacket lead down to 2. Sydney Carlson, the junior from Andover, Minnesota, will serve now for the Vikings. Holbein, Schwartz, Smith on the swing. That one dug out back row by Schmid. Now Meyer misjudged it, now pushed toward the back line by Schwartz. Now Meyer, and she'll miss the back line. Attack error on Maddie Meyer, slides it off for the Jackets at 14-11. Claude and Jones will return. Sager and Schwartz out. And well, Avery Carlson will come back in. She'll replace Sydney Carlson. I'm not sure they're related. One's a junior, one's a sophomore, so don't quote me on anything in that regard. In the meantime, back at the line is Colleen Claude now for the Yellow Jackets. Back row, Avery Carlson, Distad now. Merkins. Dug out by Holbein, back row. Claude to the outside. Now on the approach, here's the swing by Bader. Tipped at the net. Claude. Here's the swing now by Smith, and she'll get the kill. Went off the hands of Meyer to get the termination, and the Jackets up 15-11. As Colleen Claude again back at the line. Here's her serve. See by Rosh. Now Merkins tips it over. Claude. Herring. Now played over by Bader. Distad to the outside. Merkins on the approach. Gets tipped at the net again. And Merkins now will try to push it to the far side. Bader. Claude will dump it over. Schmid digs it out. Free ball again for the Jackets. Claude. Now on the approach, here's Jones going cross court, and she'll get the kill. Caitlin Jones, the assist to Colleen Claude, makes it 16-11. Now the Jackets opening up a little bit of distance again here in set number 2. Claude now at the line. Here's her serve, back row. Avery Carlson, now Schmid. Merkins rolls it over, dug out by Herring for UWS. Claude now on the approach. Here's the swing taken by Sydney Bader. And the point will go to the Yellow Jackets. 17-11. See if Laura Evans wants to call timeout. She does not. We play on. Claude at the line. There's her serve back row. Schmid Distad back set. Now Maddie Meyer on the approach. Dug out by Savannah Herring. Now Smith. Schmid on the dig. And now dumped over by Merkins, and she'll get a kill. It's been a tough night so far for Lady Merkins from the outside. She gets the kill there to make it 17-12 as Maddie Meyer goes back to serve it. Here's her serve. Bader shanking the pass. Tipped over, though, by Claude. Free ball for the Vikings. Distad near side. Swing by Merkins, and will go cross court, and she misses it. It's sort of the story of the match here so far for Bethany Lutheran. The attack error from Merkins makes it 18-12. The Jackets going to bring in Coral Cook for the first time, the 5'7" sophomore from Shawano, Wisconsin. She'll go back and serve it here. Takes out Sydney Bader. And here's her serve. Schmid, Distad. Merkins, left hand, punching it over. Claude now to the outside. Here's Holbein on the swing. Dug out back row by Carlson. Now Merkins will play it over for another Yellow Jacket free ball. Claude. This time Jones will give it a try, and she'll get the kill. Caitlin Jones. The transfer from St. Scholastica makes it 19-12. Cook back to the line here for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. Back row. Schmid trying to keep it alive. The Vikings still have a chance of keeping this over. And actually hitting it into the rafters here and having it come down her side of the net was Mel Roche. First time we've seen that this year. 20-12 now. The Jackets up by 8. UWS now has gone on a 10-3 run here to open up this 8-point lead. Here's the serve now from Cook. On the slide, here's a swing by Maloney for the Vikings. Dug out by Cook back row. Claude. There's a swing by Holbein. Carlson there now jaws at the net, and the point will go to the Vikings. Distad will go back and serve it. Alexis Triggs going to come back in. Vikings still hitting negative. 0-63 for the match. Here's the serve now from Distad. Claude. Jones on the approach. Tipped at the net. Claude now popping it up. Here's Smith on the swing, and she'll get the kill. Sydney Smith. Like I said, she's been the Yellow Jackets' best player tonight, I think, so far, has been Sydney Smith. 7 kills now for Smith. Got her hand on a lot of balls, has a couple of solo blocks. 21-13 now, and checking in now for the Yellow Jackets to serve is going to be Lizzie Schmidt. One of the seniors on this squad, senior from Twin Lakes, Wisconsin. And here is her serve, back row, and it's just long. 21-14 off the side out. Merkins will go back and serve. Sydney Carlson's going to come back in for Bethany Lutheran. As Merkins at the line. Here's her serve. Cook, off balance. Shanked pass. Free ball for the Vikings. Now a swing through the middle from Trigg. Dug out by the Yellow Jackets. And now that one off the mark outside. Into the bottom half of the net. Ball in the air for the Yellow Jackets. It's a 21-15 now. Merkins at the line. Here's her serve. Cook. Claude. Punched over now by Hunter. Dug out by the Vikings. Schmid. Sydney Carlson. Claude. Jones with the left hand. Sent right back to the Jackets. Now Claude with the free ball to the outside. Holbein on the approach, and she'll get the kill. McKenna Holbein, one of the front runners for UMAC Player of the Year, got that kill to make it 22-15. Gabby Schwartz returns. As is Marina Sager. Herring and Claude this time will check out. Now here's Schwartz's serve. Merkins. Schmid. Carlson now. Plays across for a Yellow Jacket free ball. Schwartz. Hunter on the swing. Dug out by Schmid. Distad. Back set for Trigg, and it's into the net for an error. 23-15 now the Jackets. 2 points away from a 2-0 lead here in this UMAC tournament semifinal from the Mertz. Schwartz's serve. Merkins laid it over for a Yellow Jacket free ball. Now here's the swing from Sager. Kept alive. Carlson now will play it over, and she'll get the kill. And the side off for the Vikings makes it 23-16 as Maddie Meyer comes back in. Schmid will go back and serve. And here's her serve. Herring. Couldn't keep the play alive as it caught her in the back row, and it'll be an ace here to make it 23-17. Here's the serve now from Schmid. Cook. Schwartz bumping it up. Sager now will roll it over. And that pass on the diving dig attempt by Schmid sends the ball well wide of the court and out for an error. 24-17, and it is now a set point for the Jackets. As Bader comes back in, as does Schmidt. McKenna Holbein trying to get the Jackets a 2-0 lead here. Here's her serve. Trigg on the reception. Distad through the middle. Here's Meyer. Tipping it over, diving dig there by Bader. Now Sager on the swing, and she will hit the back line with the attack. And the kill from Marina Sager, the senior from Stillwater, Minnesota, ends the set. The Jackets take it 25-17. They now lead it 2-0 in this UMAC tournament semifinal from the Mertz. And with that, we'll take a quick break and come back to the start of the third set right after this. This is UWS Women's Volleyball on 91.3 FM, KUWS Superior, and on Yellow Jacket TV, an affiliate of the UMAC Sports Network. We're back here at the Mertz. This set break sponsored by Hovind Incorporated. The Yellow Jackets, so far the story today really has not been so much their offense as it has been their defense. The Vikings now through 2 sets hitting negative 046. They just have 14 kills and 18 errors and 87 attacks. It's kind of crazy to see that in a tournament semifinal match. The Yellow Jackets meanwhile hitting a 226 as a team, 26 kills and 7 errors. UWS being led so far tonight by Sydney Smith, who's having a whale of a match, as I mentioned. She's now got 7 kills, no errors, and 11 attacks, hitting 636. She also has 3 blocks in this match. 6 kills for Caitlin Jones, 4 so far for McKenna Holbein, 4 for Marina Sager, and 3 for Sydney Bader. So the Jackets spreading around the wealth a bit defensively. They have 3 players in double figures in digs already. Savannah Herring has 11, Holbein leading the way with 12, and Claude with 10. And from the setter position, Claude also has 12 assists, so she already has a double-double through 2 sets. Meanwhile, for Bethany Lutheran, they're being led so far by Meyer with 4 kills, hitting just 067. Nobody else has more than 3. Lily Merkins has 3, but she's taking 25 swings, has 5 errors, and is hitting negative 080. Kind of typifies how the match has been going so far here for Bethany Lutheran. As we come out of this set break to begin set number 3, the Vikings will serve first. Just joining us, the Yellow Jackets jumped on the Vikings early in set number 1, never really let up. Took it 25-13. Vikings made a run early in the second set. The Jackets took an early lead. Got within 10-9, but then the Jackets pulled away, and they take set number 2, 25-17. And as we come out, it'll be Abby Distad A little service. Start set number 3. Jackets one set away from going, like I said, I think, to their 3rd straight UMAC tournament title match. And play the winner of Northwestern and Minnesota Morris if nothing changes here. Still a lot of volleyball to play. It is Distad off the serve now. And an attack error. First error of the match here for Sydney Smith. And she swung that one wide to the outside, and then Bethany Lutheran has their first lead of the contest. Didn't have the lead at all in sets 1 or 2, I don't think. Maybe had a brief lead, but 1-0 your score here as the Yellow Jackets at the plate over for a free ball. And now here's a swing to the far side by Lily Merkins. And the Vikings with 2 straight points here to begin the 3rd set. Distad now for the Vikings, far side. Here's her serve, back row, and that one will go long and will be a service error, and the Yellow Jackets shouldn't lead at 2-1 as Coral Cook's going to come back in. She'll take out Sydney Bader. Saw Elena Wilberg in this spot in the first 2 sets for the Jackets. And now here's Cook's serve. Back row received by Avery Carlson. Triggs swing, back row, here's Cook. Shanking a pass, trying to be put down there by Salmon. Now on the near side, here's the push by McKenna Holbein. She pushes it right off of Distad, and it'll be a kill for McKenna Holbein to make it 2 apiece as Cook goes back to the line to serve it. Here's her serve. Merkins, Distad. Merkins on the swing, playing cross court, dug out by Claude. Herring, pumping it up. Holbein, off balance, goes cross court, dug out by Kylie Schmidt for the Vikings. Now Merkins plays the over for a Jacket free ball. Cook on the bump. Now tipping it over with the left hand is going to be UWS's Caitlin Jones. Now here's a swing near side from Lexus Trigg. Claude, Smith, tipping it over Distad on the dig. Schmid, Trigg, dug out by Claude. Longest rally of the match thus far. Herring, Holbein on the swing, and we're going to have a double contact called here, I think, on the Vikings. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know all the calls in volleyball, but it's 3-2. Yellow Jackets in the lead either way. Cook goes back to the line now with the Jackets having their first lead here of set number 3. And now she promptly serves up an ace as Merkins couldn't handle it. Couldn't sort out her hands. And UWS now doubling up the Vikings 4-2 here, set number 3. Here's Cook's serve. Schmid. Distad to the outside. Trigg on the approach. And this time she'll go off the block attempt of Sydney Smith to get the kill. Alexis Trigg. From nearby Virginia, Minnesota makes it 4-3 as Sydney Carlson's going to come in. So is Mel Roche here for the Vikings. Roche will go back and serve now for Bethany Lutheran. And here's her serve. Cook's pass, shanks to the near side, and it's out. And the ace will make it 4 apiece. Two straight to the Vikings. Roche continues to serve it. Herring, Claude. Holbein on the swing, tipped at the net. Claude, back set now, here's Jones. And this time she'll go out the block attempt on that far side of both Sydney Carlson and Riley Salmon to get the kill. Jacket side out at 5-4. Vanna Herring now goes back to the line here for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. Roche on the reception, Distad to the outside. Here's the swing now from Sydney Carlson. And it'll end up being a kill to make it now 5 apiece. Maddie Meyer's going to come back in. So take out Riley Salmon. And it'll be Kylie Schmid now that'll serve it up here for Bethany Lutheran. Here's her serve. Cook. Claude pops it up. Now here's the swing from Holbein, and she'll get the kill. McKenna Holbein makes it 6-5. Carly Lohman's going to check in. Marina Sager also going to check in. First time we've seen the other Superior native, or one of the other Superior natives, and Carly Lohman. Jackets have used 3 different setters this year, Lohman being one of them. And here's Lohman's serve. Trigg bumped up now by Distad to the outside. Sydney Carlson swing. Dug out by Lohman. Nicely done there. Here's now the swing from Holbein, and she'll get blocked on a solo effort from Lexus Trigg right at the net. Six apiece now. Your score as Trigg checks out. Aubrey Mannery in for the first time for Bethany Lutheran, and now she'll serve one. Cook, Lohman, Sager on the swing. Dug out back row by Schmid. Now here's the swing from Carlson, and that one will go wide and out of play. Jack Ayer gives it back to the Jackets at 7-6. Bader's going to come back in now for Cook. McKenna Holbein to the line here for the Yellow Jackets to serve. Here's her serve. Schmid, Distad. Sydney Carlson had to wait. It did go up, used the block attempt of Sager, and got the kill up the line. Two teams trading points here so far in the third set, 7 apiece. Merkins is going to come back in now. She'll take out Rosh. And Sydney Carlson will serve now for the Vikings. Here's her serve. Herring. Lohman. Tipped over now by Bader. Free ball for the Vikings. Now Meyer on the swing. Tipped at the net by Hunter. Now here's a swing from Sager, and Marina Sager gets the kill. And the Jackets now up 8-7. And I said trading points as Sydney Smith comes back in. Maddie Hunter will go back and serve it. 5'11" sophomore from Ramsey, Minnesota for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. Manry on the reception for the Vikings. Now Meyer on the approach. Just rolled it over. Back line and got the kill. Diving attempt by Holbein came up empty. 8 apiece. Meyer at the line now to serve it. Here's her serve. Bader. Now Smith on the swing, and she'll get the kill. Sydney Smith continuing to play really well for the Jackets in the middle. 9-8 now your score. Claude checking in. Also checking in now for the first time is Ella Kappas. We'll take out Bader and also Carly Lohman. Here's Claude on the serve. Back row, Avery Carlson. Now Bistad on the approach, and here's the swing and the kill now from Salmon. Makes it 9 apiece. Bistad will go back to the line to serve now for the Vikings. Here's her serve. Holbein, Claude, Bader on the approach, and she'll get stuffed in the middle there that time by Salmon. Vikings had the lead now at 10-9. Here's the serve now. From Distad, long and out of play, and it'll be a side out for the Jackets at now 10 apiece. And it'll be, it looks like Sydney Bader might get the serve now for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve now, going back row. Trigg, back set. Here's Merkins on the approach. Tipped at the net. Distad. And now Smith will get the kill. Went up for a joust against Salmon and then played it off of Salmon. Diving attempt by Distad to keep it alive near post. That being the post of the net, of course. Came up empty, and it's now 11-10 Jackets in the lead. Here's the serve from Bader. Avery Carlson, Distad to the outside. Here's Trigg's swing, and she'll get the kill off of Smith. Sydney Carlson's going to come back in, as is Mel Rosh. Here's Rosh's serve, and that one will sail well long and over the end line for an error. Side out to the Jackets makes it now 12-11 as Herring will go back and serve. Hunter will come back in. There's the serve now from Herring. Back row. Rosh tipped over now by the Vikings. And the Yellow Jackets unable to keep the play alive. The point goes to the Vikings to make it 12 apiece. Back and forth we continue. Maddie Meyer comes back in. Now Kylie Schmidt goes back to serve. Here's her serve. Bader bumped up by the Yellow Jackets. Now pushed over by Holbein. Getting a hand on it was Meyer. Now Kappas. And into the net for an error to make it now 13-12. Here's the serve now from Schmid. Holbein. Played over now by Herring. Schmid. Distad. Meyer. And it'll be a kill now from Maddie Meyer up the middle. And the Vikings have a 14-12 lead. And the timeout going to be called now by UWS here. That'll give us a chance to remind you, Yellow Jacket fans, get the same gear the Yellow Jackets wear by visiting the Yellow Jacket apparel and merchandise store. Browse the latest styles of gear, including shirts, shorts, sweatshirts, outerwear, and more. The Yellow Jacket apparel and merchandise store can be found at uwsyellowjackets.com/shop. An interesting third set here so far, back and forth. The Vikings so far here in this set, hitting in the 300s, are now on the positive side of the ledger in terms of kills. 21 kills against 19 errors, so they're hitting just over triple zeros. The Yellow Jackets, meanwhile, so far in this set, hitting just 188. Hitting 220 for the match. In fact, now the Vikings are up to 029 as they're hitting 389 in this set. Alexis Trigg has been their best hitter so far. Percentage-wise, she's got 5 kills, hitting 267. Jackets break the huddle here. Schmid goes back to the line now with her team up by 2, trying to send this to a 4th set. Here's her serve. Bader. Claude. Holbein on the approach. Dug out by Rosh, back row. Now back set for Trigg, and she'll get the kill. (15-12) now your score. Schmid goes back to the line. Here's the serve. Bader. Claude now bumping it up. Now tipped over by Kappas. Dug up by Distad. And unable to keep the play alive with Sydney Carlson. There'll be a side off for the Jackets. Lohman and Seg are going to come back in. And Lohman will go back and serve it for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her floated serve, back row. Dumped over now by Schmidt for a free ball. Lohman turns and dumps it over, and it'll be a kill for the Yellow Jackets. Sophomore setter Carly Lohman on the dump makes it 15-14. Lohman on the serve again. Rosh, back set now Distad. Here's the swing from Lexus Trigg, and it's long for an error, and we're tied up again, 15 apiece. Here's the serve from Lohman. Distad now Meyer. Tipped at the net by Maddie Hunter. Now Trigg will push it over. Yellow Jacket free ball. Herring. Lohman. Here's the swing from Hunter. Dug out by Distad, and it's going to end up being a point for the Jackets at 16-15. Carly Lohman having a nice run of serving here for the Yellow Jackets. Goes back to the line to serve it. Floats it. Rosh on the reception. Distad. Sydney Carlson tipped at the net. Lohman will bump it up. Holbein on the approach. Dug out by Distad. Bumped over by Schmidt. Free ball for the Jackets. Sager. Now here's Hunter on the swing. Kept alive by the Vikings. And another free ball for UWS. Herring. Lohman. Holbein floating it over. Dug out by Rosh back row. Distad. Trigg. Dug out by the Yellow Jackets. Carly Lohman. Now here's Sager on the swing. That one dug out as well. Now pushed over by Trigg. Another Yellow Jacket free ball. Lohman back set. Here's the swing now by Marina Sager. She'll go off the hands of Sydney Carlson. And after a long rally, the Yellow Jackets have a 2-point lead at 17-15. And a timeout going to be called here by the Vikings. UWS cleaning it up a bit here as the set moves along. They're now up by 2. Jackets looking for their 21st win of the season. Hitting an even, actually, let me pause on that. Now hitting at 207 as my stats updated. Meanwhile for Bethany Lutheran, earning 280 in the set, but just 0-27 for the match. 10 kills in 25 swings with just 3 errors so far. After in the first 2 sets, the Vikings' numbers were almost identical. First set, 7 kills, 9 errors on 44 swings for a negative 0.45. And then in set 2, 7 kills, 9 errors on 43 swings for a negative 0.47. Much cleaner here so far in the third set. But the Yellow Jackets so far being pretty judicious with the amount of kills they're allowing here. The Vikings, like I said, it took them a long time to get on the positive side of things here tonight. Lohman back at the line here as we come out. Jackets still being led by Sydney Smith at 8 kills, 7 each for Holbein and Caitlin Jones, who's not in the match at the moment. Here's Lohman's serve. Schmid, Distad, Meyer on the big swing. Dug out by the aforementioned Carly Lohman. Now here's Sager on the swing, and she'll get the kill. Went off the hands of Maddie Meyer, and Marina Sager now has 7 kills. So Jackets have 4 players with at least 7 kills in this match. Great balance for UWS, and they now are up 18-15. Now Lohman on the serve. Schmid back row. Abby Distad to the outside. Sydney Carlson tipped at the net by the Yellow Jackets' Maddie Hunter. Now here's Holbein on the swing, and she'll get the kill. Big swing from McKenna Holbein. That's probably the biggest swing of the match. The assist on that one going to Carly Lohman to make it 19-15. And the Jackets opening up just a little bit of margin here in this third set, trying to sweep the Vikings. Serve from Lohman. Kylie Schmid now trying to dump it over with Distad. Now Meyer. And she'll punch it over and get the kill. Make it now 19-16. Vikings have to win this set to keep the match alive, keep the Yellow Jackets from advancing to another UMAC tournament title game against either Minnesota Morris or Northwestern on Saturday. In the meantime, now Aubrey Mannery's back in, and here's her serve. Sager on the swing, and that one will go long and out of play. So 2 straight for the Vikings makes it now a 2-point Yellow Jacket lead. 19-17 your tally. Mannery back to the line again. Freshman from Cresco, Iowa. Here's her serve. Herring, backside from Lohman. Now tipped over. And the kill will go for McKenna Holbein, and the Jackets side out to now take a 20-17 lead. Holbein for the Yellow Jackets. Here's her serve. Mannery, Distad. Sydney Carlson on the swing, tipped by Hunter at the net. Play still alive, swing again by Carlson, dug out by Holbein back row. Now Lohman, off balance was Bader, plays it over back row, dug out by Rosh. There's the swing from Meyer. Another dig for Carly Lohman. Now Sager, tipping it over, Schmid on the dig. And the back set now from Distad, the kill from Maddie Meyer on the slide, and it's now 20-18. Lee Merkins is going to come back into the match. She's going to take out Mel Rosh. Sydney Carlson will serve with the Jackets up 20-18. Here's the serve. Bader on the overpass. Lohman. Sager rolling it over, and that'll be a kill for Marina Sager to make it 21-18 as Sydney Smith comes back into the match. Maddie Hunter, the sophomore, will go back and serve it for the Yellow Jackets. UWS playing without a libero at the moment. Don't see that real often, but that's the case as Hunter serve. Mannery receives it back row. Bumped over. Will be Yellow Jacket free ball. Hunter. Back set from Lohman. Here's Sager on the swing. Dug out back row by Avery Carlson. Now Merkins going cross court. Dug out by Hunter again. Now Bader's swing. Tipped at the net. Lohman will pop it up. Here's Sydney Smith, and this time she'll get blocked on a solo effort by Maddie Meyer in the middle. 21-19. Salmon comes back in now for the Vikings. Meyer goes back to serve it for Bethany Lutheran. Here's her serve, and that one will drift long and out of play for an error. 22-19 now. Caitlin Jones and Colleen Claude going to come back in. First time we've seen Jones here in the third set as Lohman and Sager will depart. Here's the serve from Claude. Avery Carlson, Distad now on the approach. Here's Salmon going cross court. And that'll be a kill for Riley Salmon to make it 22-20. Alexis Trigg will come back in. Abby Distad will go back and serve. Jackets trying to defeat Bethany Lutheran for the 18th straight time here in this one. Distad serve. Bader on the reception. Claude will bump it up. Now Bader will try to roll it over. Tipped at the net. Now pushed by Claude. Distad. Now Trigg going cross court, or trying to go cross court. Off balance. Used the block attempt of Sydney Smith, and now it's 22-21. So the Vikings pushing hard here to try to send this to a fourth set. Still hitting over 300 in the set are the Vikings, now at 314. Now hitting 057 for the match. The Yellow Jackets at 203. Jackets as a team, by the way, have 6 blocks in the match. The Vikings have 5. 5 aces for the Vikings. The Yellow Jackets so far with 5 as well. So pretty even in the service game. And at the net, Jackets got up to a fast start in that regard. Kenna Hobein now has 9 kills to lead everybody. 8 for Marina Sager, who's sitting 316. And 8 for Sydney Smith, who's at 429 for the match. Meanwhile, Bethany Lutheran with Maddie Meyer, she has 8 kills, 7 so far for Alexis Trigg in the match. And as we come out of the timeout, Abby Distad at the line here for the Vikings. And we've lost the scoreboard, which happens every so often in this building. Hasn't come back yet. Still waiting on it here. There, it's back now. Yeah, like I said, that's a common thing in this building. I don't know. That's been something that happens year after year. It's one of the quirks of the Mertz, I guess. Here's Distad's serve. Bader overhitting the pass. And they're going to give the point now to the Vikings. And we're even up 22 apiece. Distad targeted Sydney Bader on that one, the overpass. Jackets were in the net, trying to keep the play alive. And we're even up now at 22s. Here's Distad's serve. Bader. Jones bumped over by Hobein for a free ball. Schmid to the outside now. Merkins on the swing, gets tipped at the net by Smith. Now Trigg will play it over. Claude. Herring now will send it over for another free ball. Now Distad. Trigg on the swing, and they're going to give the point to the Vikings. Bethany Lutheran now up 23-22, trying to send this to a fourth set. Distad at the line. Here's her serve. Herring. Bumped up now by Claude. Rolled over now by Bader. Disted. Trigg again. Tip at the net. Claude will send it over and send it wide. Set point for the Vikings now at 24-22. Try to stretch it to a fourth. Here's Distad's serve. Herring. Claude. Jones on the approach. Tip at the net. Herring. Claude. Here's the swing from Sidney Smith, and it'll go long and out. Actually, they're going to give the point to the Jackets at 24-23. So set point number one fended off by UWS. You have another one to go here with Sidney Bader. Here's the serve from Bader. Avery Carlson. Now Trigg on the swing. Dugout back row by Bader. Claude. Holbein. And she'll get the kill, and we're tied up again. Went off the block attempt of Trigg, and it's 24 apiece. Bethany Lutheran still has a timeout to use if they so choose. The Yellow Jackets have used both of theirs, here in the third set. Here's the serve from Bader. Back set now through the middle, and that one punched over by Salmon for an error. It goes long, and the Jackets have match point. Their first of the contest. And now the Vikings will call timeout with the score 25-24 in favor of UWS. Back and forth here in this third set. This is kind of how I expected the entire match to go, if I'm being honest. But UWS, 25-13 in the first, 25-17 in the second, and then Bethany beginning to come to life here a little bit in the third. Vikings have played well in this third set. 268 hitting. Jackets 156 in the set, although they're hitting 202 for the match. Bethany Lutheran on the strength of that 268 now up to 055. UWS looking to close this one out. They have match point. Student section here at the Mercer beginning to come to their feet. Sidney Bader will try to do the honors and close it out for the Jackets and send them to a third consecutive Upper Midwest Athletic Conference tournament final on Saturday. Bader for the Yellow Jackets. Like I said, everybody on their feet here for UWS. And here's Bader's serve. Back row Schmid. Distad. Trigg on the swing. Gets blocked at the net by Sidney Smith. Fitting into this one, and the Yellow Jackets sweep Bethany Lutheran. Final score here in set number 3, 26-24. The Yellow Jackets take it 3-0. And we'll take a quick break and come back with our post-game show, sponsored by Synovus Energy. That's coming up right after this. This is UWS Women's Volleyball on 91.3 FM, KUWS Superior, and on Yellow Jacket TV, an affiliate of the UMAC Sports Network. Johnson back here at the Mertz. Final score of this one in this UMAC tournament semifinal match here. The Yellow Jackets opt to the UMAC tournament title game on Saturday. They'll be taking on Northwestern down in the Twin Cities at the Erickson Center in St. Paul. For more information on that one, of course, you can go to uwsyellowjackets.com to find out what time that match is. I'm thinking it might be an evening match. I'm not quite sure. But either way, the Yellow Jackets win this one in 3 sets. Kind of a surprising match in a lot of ways as I recap what happened here tonight. The Yellow Jackets jumped all over the Vikings in the first 2 sets. In fact, it took the Vikings until the 3rd set to get on the positive side of the hitting ledger in this one. In fact, like I said, the first 2 sets wasn't so much the Yellow Jackets offense as it was their defense that gave the Vikings all kinds of problems. Vikings hitting negative 0.45 in the first set, while in that first set the Yellow Jackets hitting 250 and the Jackets pulling away early, and they took that first set without much problem, 25-13. Then we move on to the second set, and it was more of the same. The Vikings still really struggling. In fact, they hit slightly worse in the second set than they did in the first, 0.47 negative 0.47 for the Vikings, while the Jackets came down a little bit, 2.05. The UWS, after a tight middle part of that set, ended up pulling away late, and they ended up winning it by the score of 25-17, up 2 sets to nothing. And then the third set happened, and the 2 teams went back and forth. The Yellow Jackets shuffled some players in and out. The Vikings also made some changes up to their lineup. In fact, the Vikings at one point had a 24-22 lead in this one, looking to send it to a third set, and the Jackets rattled off 4 straight to win it. Finally getting the game-winning play when Lexus Trigg's attempt from the far side was blocked by the combination of Caitlin Jones and Sydney Smith. Jackets again scoring those last 4 points to come back from 24-22, and they end up winning it with the sweep, 26-24 in the third, and a 3-0 sweep in this one. Final numbers, the Yellow Jackets in this one hitting 202 as a team, while the Vikings ended up hitting 047. The Yellow Jackets were led, as they usually are, by McKenna Holbein. She had 10 kills in the match, hitting 219. Sydney Smith with 9 kills for the Yellow Jackets, and she would be, if I had a vote, my post-game player of the match. She had a whale of a match for the Yellow Jackets. She was really good in the first 2 sets for UWS. She ended up with 9 kills, as I mentioned, and 15 swings, just 2 errors, hitting 467. She also had 4 block assists, a couple of digs, and a couple of solo blocks as well, including a half block on that last play to win it for the Yellow Jackets. 7 kills for Caitlin Jones. She hit 316 for UWS. Marina Sager also hitting 316. She had 8 kills in 19 swings for the Jackets. 3 kills for Sydney Bader in the match. Meanwhile, from the setter position, Colleen Claude had 16. 6 from Gabby Schwartz, 6 from Carly Lohman, and 5 from Savannah Herring. And as far as digs, the Yellow Jackets were led by Herring, as they usually are, with 14 digs, 13 for Holbein. She had a double-double. Colleen Claude also with the double-double. She had 12 digs for the Yellow Jackets as well. Meanwhile, for Bethany Lutheran, they were led by Maddie Meyer and Lexus Trigg, who each had 8 kills. Meyer hitting 217, Lexus Trigg hitting 192. Lily Merkins, who was their top threat on the outside, or has been for most of the year, had a rough night. 4 kills and 31 swings. She had 5 errors, hit negative 032. Meanwhile, from the setter position, Abby Distad finished with 23 assists. Defensively, Vikings were led by Kylie Schmidt, who led everybody, in fact, with 22 digs in the match. Those are your final numbers on this one. The Yellow Jackets with the win, by the way, now at 21-11. Bethany Lutheran closes up their season at 16-12 after this one. The Yellow Jackets now with 18 straight wins over Bethany Lutheran, dating back to 2017, and that streak will continue into 2026. Up next for the Jackets, as I mentioned, is that trip down to Northwestern. We'll talk more about that. We'll give you a quick update on what's coming up as far as broadcasts here, both on Yellow Jacket TV and on 91.3 FM. We talked about it already. This coming Friday, November 14th, men's hockey will make their home debut here for the season against St. Scholastica, the bridge battle for 2025-26. 7 p.m. the opening faceoff down the road at Westman Arena. 6:30 the pregame. That'll be a joint broadcast both here on 91.3 FM KUWS and on Yellow Jacket TV. The following Saturday, or the following day, I should say, this coming Saturday, November 15th, men's hockey again taking on Bethel, this time in non-conference action. 7 p.m. at Westman Arena, 6:30 the pregame again with John Garver on the call. 91.3 FM KUWS and on Yellow Jacket TV. Then the following Friday, November 21st, men's hockey will be on the road against UW Eau Claire. Their first WIAC conference game of the season. That'll be a 91.3 FM KUWS broadcast only. 7 p.m. the opening face-off, 6:30 the pregame with John Garver down from Hobbs Ice Arena in Eau Claire. Then on Saturday, the following Saturday, so a week from this coming Saturday, women's basketball will make their debut here on the airwaves at 91.3 FM, KUWS, and on Yellow Jacket TV with a 3 p.m. opening tip against MSOE in non-conference action, 2:45 the pregame with yours truly. So a week from this coming Saturday. That same Saturday, men's hockey versus UW Stevens Point. That'll be at Westman Arena as well. 7 p.m. the opening face-off, 6:30 the pregame. Again, another joint broadcast on 91.3 FM, KUWS, and on Yellow Jacket TV. And then the following Tuesday, November 25th, women's hockey against St. Scholastica. 7 p.m. the opening face-off, 6:45 the pregame. That'll be a joint broadcast on 91.3 FM, KUWS, and on Yellow Jacket TV. John Garver will be your play-by-play broadcaster for that. So that's what's coming up in terms of our broadcasts, both on the radio and on Yellow Jacket TV. So we hope you join us for more as the season moves along. I'd like to say a big thank you to Chris Allen, who is my engineer back at 91.3 FM, and also Evan Ludwig, who was my engineer with Yellow Jacket TV. We hope everybody that listened back home enjoyed the broadcast, and we hope to join us for more Yellow Jacket sports as the 2025-26 athletic calendar moves along. So for Chris Allen back at 91.3 FM and for Evan Ludwig with Yellow Jacket TV, this is Matt Johnson. One more time repeating the final score. Yellow Jackets off to the UMAC Tournament Championship match. They defeat Bethany Lutheran in straight sets, 25-13, 25-17, and 26-24. Thanks for listening and watching, everybody. This has been Yellow Jacket Women's Volleyball on 91.3 FM, KUWS Superior, and on Yellow Jacket TV, an affiliate of the UMAC Sports Network.